Okay, hello everyone. Welcome back to Waterloo Road Rewind. Of course, this is the second special in the series. Thinking back to where we're at with the podcast, Series 2 will have just finished, so we will have had the entire Series 2 reviews up. Sorry, it's a bit weird for me because I record these like weeks and weeks in advance. Well, in theory I do. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. So I'd been pondering for a little bit. I was like, right, what should I do as the next sort of special? I had a few ideas, but one I thought was actually quite fun, and it just it stemmed from something random that I saw on a Reddit thread, just casually. And I was like, well, fan theories and speculation could be quite fun. Why I think now specifically is a good time to do it is either a Waterloo Road trailer for Series 18 will have just come out by the time this uploads, or we will be very close to getting one. At the moment, when I record this, which I think is about 2 weeks or so behind when it will come out, we haven't had any news of when specifically Waterloo Road Series 18 will air. But given the history of how they do things, generally it's January/February and September/October. So I'm willing to bet that we'll get a trailer or we'll get some confirmation of a return, even if it's a small teaser. Assuming it doesn't, I was about to say, assuming it doesn't drop this coming weekend, I'll do a trailer breakdown. Regardless, I am planning on doing a trailer breakdown for it when we get one, because I actually thought that was a really fun video to do last time. And what was really cool was I had one of the editors of the video watch it and comment and stuff. So that was very cool. So I'm planning on doing that, but I thought as we're so close to the series, that could be a fun sort of special to do, so we could just talk about it. I found a few online, and I've got one which kind of relates to Series 18 that I kind of wanted to get out there before Series 18 aired, just so I could be like, haha, I was wrong, just, you know. So, so I thought that would be quite a fun thing to do as the next special. So, got a list of them here on my phone, just from what I found on the internet. Some of it's kind of obvious, some of it I think is a bit stretching, and I think mine's got enough sort of legs to stand on, but we'll see. So, here's a list as medical and accident theories. So, first one, closed death diagnosis. So what I'll do is I'll read what I found online and then I'll talk about it and then I'll move on to the next one, etc., etc. So, closed death diagnosis. Fan theories that closed sudden death is the revival's first... Sorry, I can't read this morning. Fans theorized that closed sudden death in the revival's first episode was caused by an undiagnosed epidural hematoma. Sorry if I butchered that. She suffered a minor blow to the arm and head after being clipped by a car, and they missed the traumatic brain injury slightly worsened throughout the day until she collapsed. They say that's a fan theory. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a medical student, I have very limited medical knowledge, but I can believe that. Even if that turns out to be a load of mumbo jumbo, I can believe that's the case. The setup is that there's something more significant going on in the background. Granted, I've not watched that episode since it came out. Because I'm trying to think what happens. I really wish I watched this episode now before doing this. I feel like, and if I'm wrong, feel free to rinse me in the comments, but I feel like what happens is that Chloe gets progressively worse across the day, or that she feels dizzy and she needs to sit down and then suddenly she collapses. That was the hook, that was the shock value, that was tying Dante and Izzy into this new world. That's kind of the point. It's kind of bringing Kim and Dante back together, and that's kind of what they were going for. I can believe it was some medical issue. I always found, or I say always found, I watched the episode once. It was spoilt for me before it happened, but even then, I felt like the death was a bit random. I don't know. Maybe they could have explained it more. Maybe they were wanting it to be open to interpretation. I mean, when I go back and rewatch all of the revival, because I do plan on doing a huge revival video once all of it's out. Once we know definitively Waterloo Road reboot, revival, whatever's ended, then I will watch it all and do a big sort of look back video or a huge long ass podcast talking about it all, or both. But until we get to that point, I'm probably not going to rewatch the revival. If I need to, I'll watch bits and bobs. For example, I'm planning a Steve Savage video, which should come out in September. So I have watched bits and bobs of Series 14. And after the new series airs, and will probably be pushed back to October, but I am planning a Darius video. This Darius video that I've wanted to do since Series 17 came out, I have wanted to do it, but my biggest issue is I don't want to do that Darius video and then Darius have an episode or two appearance in the new series, because then I'd have to go back and edit it and be like, here's the definitive version of the video. So I'd rather just wait until the new series comes out. If there's more Darius content, great, I'll add it in. If not, I won't. Like, for example, the Steve Savage video. We know that Steve's probably not going to come back at this point. I think of all the head teachers that have been in the show, I think Steve is absolutely the least likely one to come back now. I'd even put someone like Vaughn above him coming back. So, but back to the point. Yes, it says it's a fan theory, but I can believe that. So, next is Dante's redemption arc. A popular character theory suggests that Dante's aggressive bully persona in episode 1 completely shifted because the severe car crash that he caused traumatized him, acting as a permanent reality check that forced him to mature overnight. Yes and no. I think there's various factors there. Obviously, the car crash scared him. He lost his best friend. That was that. I never really saw Dante as too much of like a bad kid the way the other ones are. Like, maybe if the incident hadn't have happened and Dante was in Waterloo Road throughout Series 1, I know he's on the show, but he's in like a Young Offenders Institute. If he was at the school, then yeah, maybe we'd have seen more of it. But I just, I don't really see Dante in that way. I also think it's quite difficult to say, right, we got Dante, he's a bad kid, when Lewis Seddon is there and exists in this universe. I feel like that kind of contradicts it a bit. So, like I said in the Series 1 podcast, I'm pretty sure I said it in like episode 3 or 4, it's interesting that once Dante's removed from the school, Lewis slots in. Like, Lewis and Dante don't really see each other face to face until Series 2, and that's quite an interesting dynamic. But like, with Lewis being there, it's like, yeah, okay, maybe the writers did see it that way. But I've never seen Dante as a particularly bad kid. I've just seen Dante as quite impulsive and he doesn't really think things through. I think that's one of the key differences between Dante in the original run and Dante in the revival. Is Dante in the revival is definitely much more mature than Dante in the original run, which makes sense because he goes from being a teenager to a fully grown man. But like, I think that his character development is good. It's why I quite like Ashton on the show, because Ashton is basically what Dante was like at the beginning of the show, like the impulsivity and the kind of childlike jokes and stuff. So it does kind of mirror it well. Like, there's factors which will have altered Dante. Like, he was in a Young Offenders Institute. He got tied up and threatened with a knife in school. Like, obviously that's going to have some kind of psychological and emotional impact on him. But Dante, again's never really bad. Like, I'd argue by Series 3, Dante's just like, he's not the brightest like bulb, but he's passionate, he cares, and he's kind, but he's not. Dante was never that. So the first episode, yeah, he's cocky and he's showing off, but like, Waterloo Road is in such a bad point in Series 1 that like, Dante would probably just be seen as one kid out of like 1,000. Like, yes, the episode focuses on Dante. He meets Mr. Treneman. There's the incident with the bus. But, like, again, that could have been Janice Bryant. That could have been Lewis Seddon. It could have been, like, a handful of any other students. So I don't personally buy into it. I will agree that I think Dante has good character growth, and I think that the car crash probably did play a role in that. But I disagree with the sentiment that Dante was, at any point, a kind of bad kid. So this is foreshadowing and continuity theories. So Jack Grimmer's return. Viewers pointed out that Jack's departure speech in Series 3 talking about unfinished business wasn't a throwaway line, but accidental or intentional long-term foreshadowing for his eventual return to help Stella. Again, I think it's the writers are trying to keep it open-ended. Like, I could see it as a throwaway line. And before the revival came back, I think Jason Morales, who played Jack, probably saw it as like a throwaway line. Like, I don't think it was ever intended to be more than that. I mean, it's leaving the door open. So if Jason Morales reached out and was like, hey, look, I want to do some more Waterloo Road. Can we make this happen? Jack's alive in this universe. Sure, bring Jack back. Like, it's not out of the realms of possibility. It's kind of like, if we look at it from the other side, it's like how Jason Dunn really didn't like Tom's exit, where he fell from the building. Like, I saw an interview and he said that the actual film day was quite fun and it was quite dynamic. But when he left, he sort of wanted the door to be open so he could return. I'm of the camp that if Jason Dunn hadn't have died in that episode, I fully believe he would have appeared in the reboot by now. I think he would have been in the first episode or second episode. I fully believe he would have, a bit like Janice, he would have had a cameo at that funeral. You know that scene that Janice has where she comforts Dante and sees the kids and stuff? I fully believe that if Tom was alive in the universe, Tom would have filled that role. I mean, you can let me know your thoughts in the comments and fight me if you want, but the more I think about it, the more I think, okay, that would have been Tom. Or maybe it would have been Tom and Janice. I mean, they're both iconic characters. They're like the most iconic teacher and the most iconic character minus Grantley. Like, the two of them, it just works. So I don't think the writers went in consciously. Like, Series 3 was where the show was really starting to get popular. Like, 3, 4, and 5 were the peak. But I think that even by Series 3, I don't think the writers fully knew how long the show was going to go on for. Like, I think you can make an argument that from maybe Series 6 onwards, like, the writers probably thought, right, this is the last season, right, this is the last season, right, this is the last season. Like, I don't think that there was this huge open door plan being like, right, in 5 seasons' time, we'll get Jack Rimmer back. Like, I don't. I mean, I think they're probably glad that they put it in because it meant they could deliver on something in the reboot, but, like, it was never intentional. Like, a really good example is Dante and Celine, where Celine says that she's pregnant. I think originally it was just meant to be a throwaway line. I think the point was meant to be that she was so upset and distressed, and she didn't want Dante to go and find Chloe, that she just said, I'm pregnant, as a means to try and keep Dante close by. That was always my reading of it. And then, of course, Series 15 reintroduces Celine, and she's there with Ashton, and the whole thing is, oh, is it Dante's kid? Is it not? And literally the only time in the reboot so far, up to Series 17, that there's a previously, and it flashes back to the original show. We have a previously of her telling Dante that she's pregnant. So, again, I don't think that was ever intended to be more than throwaway, but they delivered on it. So, again, I think it's one of those where Jack had unfinished business, and then they were like, I mean, we could see if Jason Morales wants to come back. Something I've been doing is listening to the other Waterloo Road podcast. I feel really bad that I can't think of what it's called. Sorry, just 1 second. It's they keep making jokes because the line's been said like twice in 2 series. But I've really gotten into it. It is Everything from Nothing. So if you guys are listening, I've watched all of Series 1 and 2, and I've watched a chunk of Series 3, and I've listened to 3 of the interviews. I'm trying not to listen to any more until I've finished my reviews for Series 3, because I really don't want my opinions to be like clouded, or I don't want them to say a point and I'm like, oh, that's really good, and then I don't want it to seem like I'm taking from anything, because it's my own thoughts, my own opinions. But that is a very good podcast. I think the 2 of them are really funny. While I've been at work, I've been having one headphone in and listening, and it's such a good time. But yeah, so sorry, I was going somewhere with this. Part of me again thinks so. They interviewed Jack, Andrew, and Mika, all 3 of which have come back in the reboot. So part of me wonders, because they asked the question, if they rebooted Waterloo Road, would you come back? And again, these podcasts were recorded before the announcement of the reboot. So I wonder if the BBC were listening in and were like, that would be something cool. If this podcast gains more traction, or even on my main channel, I do want to interview a Waterloo Road cast member. The one that I really want to speak to, because I've got quite a few intriguing questions, is the actor who plays Shuey. I can't think of his name. I feel like it's Zach something, but Schumacher Weaver is the actor I want to speak to, because I think he's one of the more interesting and prominent characters from the reboot. So I would quite like to chat to him, I think, if I could choose anyone. Funnily enough, about a year or so ago, when my Waterloo Road content started gaining like some good traction on the main channel, I did reach out to Philip Martin Brown and asked if he'd be interested. He basically, I've got a print screen of the message he sent me somewhere. So if anyone challenges it, I can actually show you. He basically said, thank you for the kind offer. He wishes me the best with the channel, but he basically said, I want to put Waterloo Road behind me. So he basically said thank you, but no thanks, and then wished me the best of luck. He was actually a very, very sweet man to speak to. So, again, I respect his wishes. Philip, thank you for getting back to me if you're listening to this, or if anyone shows you this. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to reply to me. And I fully respect that it's in your past, that it's not really something that you want to do. So all the power to you. Hope that you have a good time, whatever, you know what I mean. And thank you. So I guess with that, I will move on to the next fanfare speculation thing. The healing back to tank. Not entirely sure what that means. So it said, fans joke that characters like Finn Sharkey possess sci-fi healing abilities. Finn bounced back from a catastrophic bridge fall and severe spinal injury scare in one summer holiday with zero lingering physical therapy or side effects. Yeah, I I think this one is fun. I wouldn't necessarily call it like foreshadowing, or I think it's one of those where like Waterloo Road does this thing, and the other podcast has brought it up a lot, and it is a noticeable thing. It's something I thought about over the years. A lot of the time, there's no real discernible sense of time between like episodes. So it could be a day, it could be a few weeks. Like sometimes they clarify, sometimes they don't. But all you need to know is that between episodes or between series, there's an amount of time. Between series, it's generally accepted that it's whatever the real life equivalent of time would be. So between autumn term and spring term, it would be the Christmas holiday, so 3-4 weeks. And then between spring term or summer term and autumn term, it would be the summer holiday. So yeah, for Finn Sharkey, it would be anywhere between sort of 8 to 12 weeks. Again, I think it's just plot convenience. I think it's just easier. I think it's just like, it's something which you should just sort of ignore. Like, yes, in the real world, for that sort of injury, it would take a significant amount of time, and there may be like effects that will stick with him forever. But for the sake of carrying on the narrative and carrying on the thing, it's that. This is going to sound really bad, but my kind of takeaway from it is, and I apologize if this is in any way offensive, it's not intentional. As we know, the next 10 episode block between Finn's injury and what happens is Sam's cancer storyline. And because Finn is so like heavily tied to the cancer storyline, I think that the writers wanted all eyes and feeling to be on Sambuca. So I think if Finn was walking around with bandages and crutches trying to support his girlfriend, I think it takes away some of the dramatic effect they were going for and some of the character depth they were going for. So I think that's partly why they did it. Again, I think it's just awkward to have characters in long term walk around with sort of like crutches and stuff. Like, I know that, again, that sounds terrible, and I'm really, really not trying to be offensive. I think the only sort of time that something like that happens and they kind of commit to it is Tarek, when he ends up paraplegic after the really stupid cliffhanger at the end of series 7. Another special that I might do down the line is cliffhangers, because there are some absolute stinkers of cliffhangers. I'm going to have a quick look on my phone. I feel like there may have been one more that I wanted to talk about before I get on to my specific theory. So just give me a second. I'll just scroll through. Yeah, no, I think that sort of covers it all. I saw it, again, this is just a really brief one, and it was something I read a while ago. Tom's twin brother fan theory that Jason Dunn has a twin brother that will come onto the show so they can have their Tom Clarkson back. I really hope they don't do this, because I think that's really stupid. I would say it's jumping the shark, but the whole school moved to Scotland, and so I think we're sort of past jumping the shark. In the first episode, Tom references having a brother, but he's seen in the background. So unless they just sort of ignore continuity, I guess you could sort of make that argument that he's whatever that brother's called. I don't really remember, because he's from Australia, isn't he? So yeah, there's that. Right then, so my fan theory kind of relates to what I think is going to happen in the next series. I say fan theory, it's more of a prediction, but I suppose it does sort of qualify as fan theory. So, as we've seen from the past sort of few series, Izzy is getting out of control. Like she hit Dante in the last series, and she's just getting more and more erratic. So, based on, again, there will be some minor spoilers here, actually. I probably should have said that. There will be some very minor spoilers, so if you really don't want to know anything about the rest of the series, then I think just stop here. Just stop here, and then you can come back and watch it after you've seen the series or listen or whatever. But this is where we get sort of spoilery. Okay, so an image leaked during filming this most recent block. It could be series 19 to be fair, but I'm more inclined to say 18, where the actress who plays Izzy is passed out outside a nightclub against a wall. It was something like that. I think that Izzy's behaviour is going to worsen and worsen and worsen across this series. I don't think she's going to be a bad kid in the same way like Shui was, but I think Dante's going to realise that she's fully out of control. Obviously, there's going to be some catalyst for this happening. So that'll be the main sort of character beat for her and Dante. I think that her behaviour is going to worsen. She's not going to listen. She's just going to get more and more destructive and out of control. So another rumour that I saw, again, there's no concrete for this. This is just rumours that I've seen floating around on the internet, is that this series is going to have a big sort of knife crime storyline. They've not done that for a while, and I think that could be a really interesting thing to take it. So there's going to be a knife crime storyline, supposedly. And apparently the actor who plays Ashton, this is his last block of episodes. This next 8 episodes is Ashton's last set. Apparently the actor posted about it or something. Again, I haven't seen anything. This is just rumours. So again, I could be completely wrong. So I think that I think Izzy is going to be on a warpath, and she's going to annoy the wrong person. I think that one of the kids might have a knife and might go for her. And I think that due to her actions and her consequences, I think Ashton's going to get stabbed and is going to die. I know that is a very, very wild fan theory to throw out there, but I believe there's enough pieces for this to happen. I could be completely wrong, and I probably will be, but that is my theory for what the main thing is going to be. Again, I don't think it's going to be... I think it'll be right at the end. I kind of like how Izzy got stabbed. I think it's doing that kind of full circle thing. I think that's what they're going for. The sort of shock value at the end. If I had to guess, generally episode 4 and 5 has some kind of like major catalyst moment. So I reckon Izzy does something really stupid and almost like pays the price. Or as a result, Ashton almost pays the price. I think it'll go along the lines of she'll say she's really sorry, she'll try and fix things, and then an episode or 2 later it'll worsen until it gets to this point, and I think Ashton's ultimately going to pay the price. I think it's going to leave Dante completely devastated, and I think that his relationship with Izzy is just going to deteriorate. So I think that Series 19, as a result, will be sort of trying to rebuild this relationship or trying to get back to a healthy norm. I've also noticed with the Waterloo Road reboot that the deaths are sort of in a pattern. So Series 12, Danny died. Series 14, Boz died. Series 16, Hope died, and now I feel like Ashton's gonna die. I really don't know if it's intentional, but like that's the pattern that has emerged. It's all of the even series since the reboots happened that a death has occurred. Maybe they'll break the mold and series 19 will have a death. But yeah, I just think that's sort of where it's going to go. Supposedly Celine is going to appear in this series, so maybe there's a scene in the last episode where Dante and Celine kind of break down and they talk about Ashton. I think for Celine to come back, something significant will have to happen to Ashton, which again is making me believe that this is the case. Again, nothing significant about the Celine returning. It's just, again, something else that I've seen or read. So yeah, that's sort of my theory. I did have a few other little things of what I think the next series is going to hold. Again, it could just be a fun thing to look back on. Maybe another special I can do in a few months' time is look back at this video and basically say, oh, what did I get right? What did I get wrong? I think that Stella is going to do the next two series. They generally film blocks back to back, and I think that I'm going to assume that they got Stella for free. Initially, she signed up to 24 episodes. I'm going to assume that they tried to get Stella for 2 more blocks. So I could be wrong, but I'm quite comfortable in thinking that Stella's got another 16 episodes. I think a lot of the other cast will. I think their contracts will generally be, they'll try and push for the 16 episodes. I think now that Jack is established and is back as a teacher, I think as long as Stella's there, I think Jack is safe to say he'll do another 16. Steph, I think another 16. I think Janice is just going to be a one series and done type deal. Chelsea Heaney's quite big. She had to take a break from, I can't remember what soap it is, but one that she does a lot to do this, so I don't think she'll be in it for the long haul. Yeah, I don't know. Somebody posted on Reddit the other day that supposedly the lease for the building they're filming in has been greenlit so they can film for a few more series. Again, they've not confirmed that more filming's going to happen. They just have the available space there for if they want to do it. But again, because a lot of the BBC projects have now gone into... I can't think of the word. I said it in a podcast a few weeks ago. Like Doctor Who is, like companies are bidding to be able to make it. I think that Waterloo Road, like a lot of other BBC productions, are in that same limbo. I don't doubt that a production company will pick it up because the reboot is the best TV the BBC's done in a long time. So I don't know. If it ends up that series 18 and 19 is the end, I think that Jack will become the head teacher at the end of it. I think Stella will have a breakdown on the roof and Jack will take over. I really hope Jack's the deputy. I'm not sure if he will be, but I really want Jack to be the deputy head. I think after everything with Darius, I think Jack's earned it, to be honest with you. So I hope Jack's the deputy head. I hope there's some more funny scenes with Steph. Supposedly there's another cancer storyline to do with Portia. It's potential. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Yeah, so that's kind of all the fan theories and stuff I wanted to talk about and speculate. Do you have any fan theories? I'd love to hear them. But yeah, I think for now I will leave it there. If you're enjoying the podcast, then please subscribe, like, comment. It'll help the YouTube algorithm. It'll help this grow. Tell any of your Waterloo Road fans, your Waterloo Road friends who are fans, I should say. Oh, that's the other fun thing. Just before I go, I'm recording this on the 10th of August, and it'll probably be out in 2 or so weeks' time. So towards the end of August, I'm going to today set up a social media page. No doubt you'll all probably know about it because I'm going to share it. But I'm going to set an X or a Twitter page up, so that I can get more out there. I can put more things out there. We can be more communicative. So if that's something you're interested in, when it's up, please please follow. And yeah, this has been Waterloo Road Rewind. You've had Ollie, and I'll see you for Series 3, which is very exciting because it has my favourite head teacher come into it. So it's going to be very good. Until next time, I'll catch you all soon.